Jermaine Morris here with the one and only Mr. Barry Accius.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Normally getting together for the Say Something podcast, but we already recorded that for this week. It'll be available for you on Apple. It'll be on iHeartRadio as well as SoundCloud. A whole bunch of opportunities for you to check it out. Normally getting together for the Say Something
Hold on
podcast.
a second. I'm gonna be getting. There you go, man. I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. So we a lot that we've been getting into talking this week. Got my man, Mr. Barry Accius here. As we were just finishing sharing, talk about how
Say Something podcast, baby, going live. The updates.
The updates. All this election stuff we just covered as it's in the midst now. Sleepy Joe looking like he's on the comeback on these swing states. I was looking like Trump's gonna run it back to back like Drake, but it's
What's it looking like?
But it's looking like Joe. He got two states that he's trying to work with, and he might be able to pull something out.
Much.
So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how this goes down. How you feeling about things, man?
I'm just I told you, sick or tired of being tired with these Negroes, right? You know what I mean? I think that. Let me go ahead. Let me get myself situated, because me being in Facebook jail for so long, I got to get back acclimated to a lot of the situations that we deal with. You know what I mean?
No, okay. Go ahead.
I'm just moving into this space right quick. That's right, crazy, right?
Give your people an opportunity.
Yeah. Give my people opportunity. Give my haters opportunity to share space. You know what I'm saying? Because I love the haters. They gotta they have a special place in my heart. They definitely do.
Yeah, man. We back from the hiatus from the podcast. Just came back last week.
Yes. And
so much has been going on during the course of 2020.
Yeah, it's been crazy, bro. It's been crazy, and I think that this right here is a continuation of everything that we've been talking about for years, right? The 4 years of Mr. 45, aka the Pussy Grabber, has been an eye-opening experience for those who really thought the American experience was different. And if you didn't realize, now you know and realize that we live in two different Americas. We always have lived in two different Americas. And I feel like the Donnie Trump experience, Agent Orange, the Mango Man, there's so many different, names for this guy, right?
I've never heard the Mango Man.
Okay,
that's new for me. I've never,
right? The Mango Man. Let me just go sign that off. The Mango Man. The point that I'm just basically trying to make, that if anybody has been under a rock and didn't really understand the American experience, you now see it full hand if you are a person that is of color, especially a person that is Black. And I say that because I think that a lot of us believed, and this is the difference from yesteryear and today.
Okay.
The average Negro before knew what time it was, even though they didn't feel like all of the attacks of white America was based on, race or whatever. They just knew that, I'm a color person. Here's where I go. It was basically life. This is how life they lived. They lived it like that. There was no, shaking the trees as much as when those who shook the tree, who wasn't complacent by feeling that segregation was the right thing, that, we wanted to integrate, they were like, yo, no, we need to have equality, blah, blah, blah. So the fight for that happens. And now you have a situation, right, that the Negroes are saying that we want to be involved so we can no longer be separated as a people, because we should all be living life equally. So you have the whole civil rights movement and things of that nature and stuff like that. So most of the times, back then the Negro knew what it was, in a sense of, okay, I'm Black, I'm not supposed to be here. Okay. And the rich Negro Again, to my point, the rich Negro was considered still a Negro. So if I was Muhammad Ali, let's just use that, just throw his name, Muhammad
biggest
Ali,
star, one of the biggest stars on the planet at that time.
Muhammad Ali, and I knocked out, another Negro or even a white boy that day, and I'm catching the bus. The white boy who was just cheering for me in the back, not even in the front center, who has no kind of economic, impact the way I have it. He's pretty much a freaking line worker. He was bold enough to say, yo, Muhammad, it was a great job last night that you knocked out the, Johnny Joe, but you're not supposed to be sitting in the front.
And it's still a heavy class system.
The class system is already set, right? So now Muhammad's like, God damn, I got to go to the back, right? So the place of the rich Negro was connected to all Negroes, where in this time frame, the rich Negroes are really a part of the 1% that a lot of us are fighting against. And the 1% of those Negroes who have it have, I won't say they have an obligation, but they can kind of teeter to the left, to the right. That's why you can have Lil Wayne, say he's supporting Donald Trump. That's why you can have Kanye West say the things that he's saying, because at the end of the day, the tax bracket, the class, these guys fit into more of, the positioning that Donald Trump is compared to back in our days with our ancestors. It didn't matter who the hell you was a Negro, and they didn't give two damns about if you was Jackie Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Know your position, know your place, where it's different now. And I think that in these times that we're in, if Black people don't understand that separation is not necessarily a bad thing, it's not a thing that we're saying, hey, don't come in our area. The only thing I'm saying is separation of power structures, so we can have our own infrastructure, develop our own systems that help support us more thoroughly. To me, impacts us as a community, because we continue to try to support these parties and support this system that turns around and just, shoots us right in our face, not even in our back, right in our face. And we continue to be disappointed in these moments. Like right now, folks are just losing their mind in the morning because they're thinking like, damn, it might be Donald Trump. And now they're turning around, whoa, it might be Biden. But even if it's Biden, and if we get stuck with Donald Trump, where are the Negro really going? Like, where do we move? How do we move forward? And what's the true plan in our space of what it looks like for Black people? Because I know LGBTQ is gearing up for whoever, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who's president. It don't matter who it is. And they've already got whatever conditions and agendas in line, as they did with Obama. But even in a sense of one of the initiatives that was being being impacted here locally in Sacramento, the Strong Mayor, when you read it out, they're talking about racial inequalities. It has LGBTQ, but it doesn't have African Americans, right? You know what I'm saying? So we're almost out of the, game plan, because we're so busy infighting and so busy pandering and so busy saying we're not going to be a part of anything because of A, B, and C. So we're so divided in a place where if it's Biden, if it's Trump, we still don't have enough solidarity within ourselves to figure out what the hell we're going to do moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, when we talk about this regularly, that if your whole focus is on who's in the White House, you're already losing. If that's the basis of how you think you're going to live your day-to-day life, how you interact with your significant other, how you deal with your children, how you deal with your community as a whole. If you're really worried about what's happening at 1600 Pennsylvania, you're already getting beat. So, if it's Trump running it back to back like Drake, or if it's Biden looking like he's trying to take these two states and change the game and try to come in and do something different, your day-to-day life is minus some of this COVID stuff, because I think that's the curveball that a lot of people are having to adjust for. If there'll be stuff like stimulus money that's sent out or things along that line. But your day-to-day life is really what you doing. what you're doing locally, what you're doing in your neighborhood. And when it pertains to us, like a lot of the infighting, a lot of the no clear direction. That's why, to a degree, I respect what Ice Cube put out. That a lot of people don't like the way he went about it or the process of. But the fact is, like,
because it wasn't them doing it. That's why.
Something like here's some form of an actual direction. Now, we may fine tune it, tweak it, adjust it, agree, disagree, different stuff that gets put in. But the reality of it is, okay, at least there's something, because I know there's been a major argument over the years when you see all these protests, you see rallies, you see cries in the street. And the overwhelming question that keeps getting asked to Black Americans for decades is, what do you want? Like you're making this noise. Okay, you got the world's attention. You're doing all these things to be in a position to where, okay, I can hear you. I see you. What do you want? What is the actual ask? And without there being an ask, it's like, okay, we got your attention. Now I got your attention. Now I got your attention. Now I got okay, after a while, in the beginning, I may be sympathetic. I may be compassionate to your cause. I may be empathetic to your plight. But at some point, I'm going to be like, okay, now you're just becoming annoying. Now you're becoming a nuisance. Now you're becoming a problem because you got my attention. You got everybody focused on you and you didn't ask for anything. So at least with Ice Cube, even if the document's not perfect, because I read through it myself and there's some holes and there's some incomplete thoughts, but it's still constantly being reworked and revamped. But it actually gives it a solid direction, something. There are some actual tangible asks that work throughout legislature and the private sector, and at least gives a solid starting point when you're going before somebody saying what it is. You got my attention, now what you want.
Well, what were some of the things that you felt were the holes? Like, what did he say that was tangible? Or what, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, being Black in America, as I posted on my Facebook, is exhausting, though it's the most beautifulest thing to be, but it is exhausting and there ain't no vacation time for the shit.
Yeah.
But for me, listening to the last final months of this campaign, we talked more about celebrities' interests in what they feel the Black community should do. Yeah. Where the hell were you at when he first moved into the presidency? Right? Where were you at, in the beginning of all this? Like, what did you not connect the dots? I mean, did you not see?
Where were you at when Bush was president? Like, because the people we're hearing.
Where were you at when Bill Clinton was president? I mean,
the people we're hearing from are not 20-year-olds. The people we're hearing from are 45, 50.
They're Black millionaires that at the end of the day, they have probably done. They've done some things, but to me, the infrastructure and the lack thereof purpose, right? Purposeful things that they should have done. And I'm not to speak upon someone else's dollars, but I'm trying to figure out what was the framework, what was the game plan, what was the reason to come in the midst of an election during the 10th hour and now start talking about some stuff when you've remained quiet. And when I say remain quiet, they did not have a platform in the way they created a platform for themselves when COVID hit. They were very much silent. And all of these celebrities, if they want to have their voices or opinions heard about certain things socially, trust me, they showed us how they can do it and elevate their voices. I didn't see any of that. And that's the kind of frustration for me. Is like, okay, I'm not knocking it because I remember Ice Cube for America's Most Wanted. I remember Ice Cube for Death Certificate. I remember all of Ice Cube, but then I also remember Ice Cube for Are We There Yet and Barbershop, and just kind of working on the elements of entertainment more or less than liberation in Black people. And at the same time, these niggas have money. So just like you created the basketball league, right? The Big Three, which I think that was phenomenal. Here are those moments where, as you create the Big Three, now start talking about the other game plan that you have. And it'd be a little bit more believable, not saying that he's being faulty, But what it does, it just rides this wave, this unfortunate wave that Kanye West was on. And then you got 50 Cent jumps on a bandwagon. And then you got Lil Wayne jumping on a bandwagon. And you have all of these different viewpoints from all these individuals. And I think that it just gets meshed in with all of this other stuff that we're dealing with. We're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with distance learning. Niggas can't juggle all that, because if we could, we would do it.
Well, that's why I say that's why I separate the difference between Cube and Kanye, or Cube and Puff.
Oh, for sure.
And Curtis. I don't even call him 50. Curtis. He's Curtis. I separate him, like I said, because he actually came with an ask. And so you get people who are sitting there saying, I want equality. I want, equal treatment. What does that look like? Like when you say, I want fairness, what does fairness look like? And the difference is, I think, between, like I said, and I don't think the Cube's document's not perfect, but I think it's a good start, because there's actual specific asks. When you talk about these other groups, when the LBGT goes before, their political, whether it be locally with their mayor, their governor, or they take stuff to the White House, there's very specific language, and it pertains to what's a hate crime, into what's discrimination. Very specific language into same-sex marriages and avoiding discrimination when it pertains to adoption. Very specific language in what the curriculum should be added into when it pertains to school systems, and what children should become knowledgeable at an earlier age, so they become more socially acceptable when they see things in life and are less, withdrawn, which can lead to discriminatory practices. There's actually very specific language. We come with treat me better. Be nice to me.
Wear the Black Lives Matter t-shirt for me.
So when you don't have a specific ask and you're just in front of somebody making noise, you'll get their attention. And then not where maybe before they were indifferent. If you keep getting their attention, but you don't know what you want, you took somebody who maybe have been indifferent to you before, and now they have a negative association with you because of your annoyance, because of your distraction. Because you keep making noise, but you don't ask for what you want. And so when I hear all these people say, we need to do this in these broad, ambiguous terms, okay, whatever. But like I said, I appreciate the fact that somebody can come with something specific, and say these specific things are what I want. Now, we may not all agree on what was asked for and what was left out and this, that, and the third, but at least let's start those conversations in that direction, where we're not saying that's just, it'd be nice if, or could you please be cool to me?
Well, I mean, I think also with the LGBTQ, how many subdivisions do they have? Like, how many sub blocks do they have? LGBTQ West? Do they have LGBTQ East?
Everybody's on code.
Like, do they have the real LGBTQ, or do they have the LGBTQ with the ZZZ? I mean, this is what Negroes do. Negroes have the folks fighting for the reparations, and you have Negroes have the woke, Negroes have the Israelites,
foundational Black American, African descendants of slavery.
Listen, brother, you got Negroes who are the Trump supporters. I mean, we have all of these Negroes spread out like mayonnaise on white bread to go ahead and to think that we're going to actually come with something that we all are in agreement with, or at least can live with, is asinizing at best.
Well, so taking LBGT, and it's not jumping on them, but I respect the hustle.
I respect the hustle for sure.
So you got to
just giving an example. We're not being anti anything. We're just giving an example of the group.
Because what they did is you had the LGB/T, then you throw in Q. I think there's even an I. Like so instead of there being subdivisions, everybody just combined like Voltron. So everybody get on the set. I don't want you having an LG conversation over here while you have a T over there and a Q agenda over there. Everybody get in step, everybody get on code, and everybody move in this direction.
And that's the problem with Black people.
Well, we are moving in
12 different directions, right? You had too many voices coming out saying too many things. One voice, don't vote. Another voice saying, well, we're going to get the lesser two evils. And of course, I've said the same thing, but I also said vote with strategy, not emotions. If we create a vote, it has to be a vote that's agenda driven, right? It has to be the vote that says, all right, who's going to be the opponent that we feel like we can have a good bout with, not an opponent that's going to overwhelm us. Like, I don't want to be a junior weight taking on a heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this heavyweight fight moving to the right direction, right? I've trained for that. I didn't train to fight the junior weight, right? A little bit faster. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be swinging. He's going to be boxing. The reality that we are dealing with right now is too many subdivisions in black communities where you got a bunch of rich black Negroes talking about some stuff that they have no idea. And not in the sense that they have no knowledge, because I'm not saying they don't have knowledge. But when I say have no idea, a lot of these folks are detached from the communities that they say they represent. They have not really solely just talked or created programming or created infrastructure to the minimum level to reach levels of saying, well, I have this program here, and if we can get this amount of money and open up these programs here, this would be a great situation, to be a great thing. What they have done, if they've set up as they're supposed to in the field that they're in, is entertainment capital. So you'll have a Puff Daddy who has created Revolt TV. Great. You'll have Cube Vision. You'll have all these things that make sense for them because it makes and earns money. But in the communities, we're not getting that, we're not getting that back draft of any of that. We're not getting the, monies to support us from those programs or these things that they've created for themselves. And we're getting entertained. I mean, that's awesome. But we are just continuously being put in a position where we shouldn't be in a position, because we have a lot of money, we have a lot of access, and we have a lot of resources, but we don't utilize those resources because we're so busy arguing about who's going to lead, black man or black woman or the youth. Well, they're going to lead. No, they're going to lead. This is what we do. And so here comes election time, right? Here we are aggressively pushing for something that a lot of us are not even agreeing on, instead of saying, all right, you know what? Don't like Biden, hate Harris, but this is what we're going to do. These folks right here, they're going to be the ones, because the so-called Democratic Party has continued to tell us they for us, we're going to hold them to the fire. And that, my friend, I don't think we really actually do. I don't think that we've held these Democrats to the fire that they've been put under in the last probably 6 years, because we were okay with the fancy symbolic gestures of progress that we had with 8 years of Obama, feeling that we were lifted. And then every black person trying to say Obama was the best president we ever had. But then you ask a black person, well, what did he do for black people? Everyone wants to tell us what he's done for a collective of people. I asked for black people because I can tell you what he did for LGBTQ. I could tell you what he did for immigrants. And those were a section of people that sit there and said, hey, this is what we need. And African Americans did not do that. Now, I don't know if that was by choice, chance, or reason that we just thought Obama was going to magically just write some things to independently help or save us. Hope. But if we keep on the hope, the dream, whatever.
That was hope, a lot of hope.
Yeah, but if we keep on insinuating that individuals are supposed to just do this because of simple fact, you could see the black struggle, like it's obvious, don't you see the black struggle? No one is even paying attention to it like that, because not even us are paying attention to it like the way we're supposed to, because the simple fact that we're still talking about who could be the president is asinizing at best, when you have all of these places that were protesting. Some of the larger protests happened in Kentucky. The largest protests were happening in Minnesota. And these places, Kentucky, Moscow Mitch, aka Money Mitch, still in a seat. You got Minnesota. Who cares about George Floyd? We gave y'all moment. Guess what? Your boy Trump got that state. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Is this us not being organized? Is this not us being politically savvy or too politically ignorant to understand what's happening? Or is it just us believing that we just don't need to deal with the politics of America because we're going to do something outside of America, when every single person, if you are running a business, if you are, living in America, you're paying some kind of tax. I mean, there's no way to get outside of this system unless you go totally off the grid and live like, some cave people.
Unabomber. It's really all of the above. So to the point that you just made, that it's all the above, that there is a direct lack of organization. that there is not a structure base of
or maybe there's too many organizations.
Well, no. I mean, organization in the sense of you can have 50,000 different organizations that can be organized and get everybody on the same page, get everybody on code with what it is. What are we doing? Like that should really be the question before every meeting, before every Zoom, before every phone call, every get together, every rally. What are we doing? Like, why are we here? Are we here to vent? Are we thinking that we're through talking to each other, so we want somebody else just to hear us out? Because there are people out there who just need to get it off their chest. If that's what you're here for, then let's establish that. Like you don't want to be involved in actual policy change. You don't actually want to be involved in maybe restructuring your life, the way you spend your dollars, the areas that you frequent, and some of the behaviors that you're involved with. You may not be down for that. You just want to get your grievances off your chest. All right, well, let's put y'all over there. What are y'all here for? I'm here because I'm really want to be involved actively in the political climate and how it directly pertains to me, my life, my family, my money, my community. Okay, let's get you plugged in to your councilman. Let's get you plugged into your school superintendent. Let's get you plugged into the mayor's office. Let's get you plugged in because that's what you're here for. If you just here to just F up some stuff and leave, like you just got some aggression you want to get out, let's put you over here on. We got a demolition job on some buildings that we trying to remodel. Take this sledgehammer and knock this wall out till you feel better. But like, let's just have a solid conversation when it pertains to organization. What are we doing? When it comes to the knowledge of how things work, we talked about this before. Like most people who complain about the system don't even know how the system operates
at all.
They don't, you know, talk before, like,
ignorant, as I said, politically
most
ignorant.
people don't know the job of a senator, don't even know who represents their state, don't know who the lieutenant governor is of their state, is completely unfamiliar and unaware of what actually goes on. Like we live in Sacramento, the state capital, and there's people who drive past the Capitol all day and have absolutely no idea what goes on in that building every single day.
And they're going to complain on social media.
But will say the system is broken. How you don't know what it looks like if it was fixed. So at what point
and some people think it is fixed.
Yeah, but I mean, what filter are you looking at this through to even correctly judge if it's working right or wrong when you don't know the difference of what it looks like? So, I mean, like I said, a lack of organization, a lack of understanding. Some people who believe that they can work outside of the system, and to a degree you can, but there's a ceiling. And so if you're saying that, look, I want to make sure that I take care of my community, I want to build up my economic base, put people to work, educate. Maybe I don't work through the school system, but I do independent teaching to make sure the kids get the stuff that they need that I know they're not getting taught in the school system. You can do that stuff and you can make an impact where you live and you can be involved in community stuff. And we know a lot of people who do that personally, who are not involved in the political aspect, but are deeply involved grassroots in the community. You can do that and make an impact, but you will hit a ceiling because at some point you're going to have to deal with them people. You have to. At some point you're going to have to deal with somebody who's got the access that you need to either grow what you're doing and expand what you want to do, or in some cases for you to be able to continue what you're doing. Here's a perfect example of that. You got the brother, Dr. Umar Johnson. Was creating his school, college, whatever. I don't know what particularly thing it is now. Right now, it's changed so many different times, right? Yeah. Now, he, a brother that really foundationally helped a lot of Black people find themselves in their way of kind of moving in America, right? With the knowledge that he spoke, great speaker, all that. But now his business practices might be a whole different kind of beast and animal compared to what he's speaking on, truthfully, because it's been about almost close to over 10 years of him trying to establish a school system, right? Yeah. He's finding out, right? And I'm not talking about his business or nothing. I'm just saying what the facts are. He's finding out it's a little bit more difficult to just be off the grid as he thought he was going to be, to kind of build this school in a African-centered base without having to deal with the powers that be. If anybody wants to look at the examples of what he's going through, if we're just talking about him trying to work in getting certain
what's it called, certifications and
Yeah.
certain city ordinance being, you know, fulfilled, so he can kind of continue to do what he needs to do for his people. He is dealing with politics that come with the practicals of creating something here in America, right?
Yeah.
And these politics are anywhere. If you go to Africa, if you go to Iran, whatever,
Yeah.
there is politics, there is government. You're going to have to deal with them. You're not just going to be able to find some land and say, oh, got land, let's go get some bricks, let's go get some foundation and start building. That's just not what it is. Even though a lot of you Negroes want to believe that's what it is, you're going to have to go to the practicals. Now, if Umar probably had a better relationship or had folks that didn't have to, be under Umar's beliefs, but were the kind of middleman or middle gal that could just say, all right, well, I'm here under the behalf, maybe he could get a lot more things done. But there's something that's happening in his programming, and I'm just going to just, not dive into the brother's situation, but there has to be a roadblock, because if you're not playing a game to a certain way, they will stop you. And these are the kind of things that will stop the progress. And that's not saying that folks should sell themselves short. I'm definitely not saying that, but I'm just saying that in a system that everything is connected to something else other than just a land grab, and I'm gonna just hold my biscuit or
just do what I want to do when I want to do it.
It's just not a reality. And I think Black people need to stop getting into that framework. If you and I found the building, we're going to have to holler at the person. We're going to have to get a building inspector. All these things go through city connects.
Yeah.
And if I don't have any placement of people in the city, in the council, no relationship, because these Negroes speak to me with these stupid ideas as if, okay, we just going to go build, and then, okay, well, how are we going to build that building? And, the city council member that pretty much has jurisdiction of that building, we ain't even talk to them. We don't got no relationship with them. We just going to go call the person up and say, hey, we want the building. It's probably easier because I can make a phone call to the city council member, because I've been in conversation. We ain't super friends, but they know me. I know them. Hey, looking for that building. You know what I'm trying to do with some of these young Black kids over here. I've already specified that we need something for our Black kids, just like something is there for the white kids in your community. Okay, Barry, guess what? I'll call those people, and then it's yours. These are the kind of things, like that strategy that I don't think Negroes really realize. It's not kissing white people's behinds. It's not doing any of those things. It's just about being more strategic and how we try to influence the things that we need.
Well, the important part, so sticking with that, and Umar, we both know Brother Umar.
Yeah.
And so, and keeping to your point, a lot of respect for him and what he's in his field.
Yeah.
Like I can say I personally learned a lot about the need for parental advocacy when it pertains to our children in the school system, the misdiagnosis of a lot of our young children, specifically our young Black boys, to get them on medication that they don't need, and the hustle that is the special education racket that happens in our education system. I say these things because Umar's name gets attached to a lot of the nonsense he's been involved with, but he has definitely been at the forefront with a lot of important information when it pertains to how our children are treated throughout the school system, and the need for parents to get proper advocacy, because certain districts will railroad parents and make them feel guilty or make them feel powerless for things that go on with their children. So I give him a lot of respect for that. But none of that has anything to do with his ability to properly facilitate and run a school and all the ins and outs that go along with it. And when you try to make the case, and for some of us who say, I want to live off the grid, I ain't messing with the system, I ain't messing with these people, and you want to do things like this, which are good in theory, it's one thing if you don't have a relationship with these systems. It's another thing when you have a negative one. So when you make the practice of bad mouthing a lot of these institutions and disrespecting a lot of these people that you are eventually then going to need to go see when it comes to a permit, that these are the people who are going to sign off on your ability to do something. Like, that's where you can run into problems also. And so for us, if we're saying, okay, we're going to work within the system and do things, then we need to have, like, back to the question, what are we doing? Okay, we need to get people who are in these positions and their job is to look out.
Yeah.
Like,
Fact.
okay, who do we have that's in city planning? We need to get a guy on city planning. And sometimes we need to lobby to our own people like we lobby into a stranger.
Yeah.
This idea of saying, well, because there's a black woman in that audience in that particular office, that she's just automatically gonna hook me up. But there's a lot of us who think
I'm just laughing, and it's like, okay, yeah.
We'll walk into these settings and walk into these environments. We'll see somebody who looks like us, and all of a sudden think, I'm about to get the hookup. Yeah. They about to look out.
Not at all.
We don't come with the necessary paperwork. We don't come with the necessary the procedures in place and have done the research that is necessary. Sometimes we don't come with the proper funding. Sometimes and resources that are needed for what it is that we want to do. And we just think, folks, we're just going to have a little dap up moment, and we about to get in. And I think in that regards, we're disrespectful to ourselves. You know, that person who had to work up to get there. And I think that we discredit them because they're us. Like if they were of another community, we would respect the fact of what they had to do to get there.
Whole different situation.
Of all the hoops that they had to jump through and all the things that we had to do. Us, we'll be like, yeah, just go ahead and risk your job. Hook me up.
Yeah.
Go ahead and put yourself out on the line for me.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, right? Like that's it. Like I don't know you from Adam, but I'm supposed to put my life, because my family, and my livelihood on the line for you, and you showing
we look
up
like each other.
Yeah, and you showing up 70% of what's necessary.
Brother, listen. At the end of the day, I feel the ultimate thing outside of the vote, and I know that there's a good focus on that, is the build, and that's what we have. Me and my team with Trap the Vote, we did. This year, we not only focus on the voter education, no longer trying to have ignorant voters, but educated voters enough to be able to learn and understand these propositions, how it really would affect us moving forward, as well as understanding the candidates, being able to have candidate forums to be able to talk to those candidates if they speak our language, also to look deeply inside of being nonpartisan, because we don't really feel like either one of those parties, Republican or Democratic, are even helping us elevate. So we may have to take a chance on a Republican because the views of that Republican might fit the reviews or the views that we have in a certain levels. And I know that's hard for a lot of Negroes to hear, but this is kind of what it's become. It's not always, I mean, look at here in California. It's considered to be this progressive, right? This diverse, state. What they'll be hanging their hat on is, look at us. We showed Trump because we didn't vote Trump. We weren't, brother. I've just seen so many Donald Trump supporters driving all through
a lot of MAGA country in California.
Listen, right? Listen, it's a whole. But what folks don't know politically, California has always been a Democratic state, just like Texas has always been a Republican state. So when we look at these kind of things and we look at, okay, we're talking about the democratic process, and we're talking about this is a home of more Democrats here in California, but some of these democratic propositions barely got by or didn't even see the light of day. How the hell does that work? You know what I mean? It's kind of almost like it's fool's gold in such a way. So if you think partaking in this election was just about voting for president, or if you think partaking in this election was all about just vote and then wait to see how the chips fall, that has always been our problem. It's been our problem in this current, and it's been our problem in the past. We have blinded ourselves in the belief that we don't have to do no work after the vote. We just show up, vote. We did our our American best, and now we're just going to go see where the chips fall, and that's far from the truth. If we have not built the infrastructure that will help create those folks to look at us differently, when you look at some of the things that we do have, right, we have levels of entertainment. Could you imagine if those levels of entertainment we owned? So we own the NBA, we own the NFL. They would have to sit at our table without us even asking. Right? Yeah. We owned hip hop. They would have to be like, can I take a call with you guys? Instead of us, looking at them. And what they do is they pander for our vote, because yes, our vote does matter. Our vote does matter. But the people that give the vote don't matter. I mean, our votes matter, but the people, the black and brown people, don't matter. So this is two different options. Yeah, I need your vote. But as far as the people, and if we continue to allow them to play us like that, that falls on us. So that falls on us continuing to believe and think that just the process of voting is the only thing we have to do. And we fall into a bigger trap when we're so divided by these subcultures, and we're looking at LGBTQ. I've been saying it so many damn times, I can't even come out now, right? You know, you say it so many times, like, all right, you got the alphabet people.
Yeah, that, Chappelle called them people.
And there's no disrespect.
No disrespect at all.
But at the same time, they are agenda driven and they have a purpose, right? Where they are lined up in some of the language, so you automatically know if a proposition goes through, they're in the language. They're in the language. So, you know, they're going to be first up to be like, all right, what's popping? What are we doing? And we don't do that because we are so disconnected with an overall agenda that will help all black people, whether it's poor or rich. And I think sometimes rich black people or rich elitists get in the way because they still want to act like we're still in the same struggle. We're not. You've arrived. You know what I'm saying? You've arrived. They look at you and they utilize you. When you look at those basketball players, of course they're going to pander to you guys and say, we'll wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts and we'll put it on the, you know what I'm saying, the gym floor, and what else do you want us to do? Okay, some PSAs, because if you guys don't play, guess what? Our league don't work. You know what I'm saying? 85% is y'all. It's different in football, even though it's still a larger percentage in football. But with football, you have a white quarterback that's always been, even though it's changing a little bit right now, that's been the champion. So you have a Drew Brees, you have a Tom Brady that have always been the golden stamps for these leagues, as well as a bunch of offensive linemen. But slowly but surely, that's coming to a pass, and they're holding on to that golden boy rod for so long because they know once African Americans control the quarterback play, that then their league will be predominantly centered in blackness. And I don't think they really want to see that happening, because then they will lose that superiority, because it's always been centered. And once upon a time in NFL, they didn't even think black people were smart enough to be quarterbacks. You got to understand the basis of this racism. This racism just didn't happen when Trump got into office. Just let's be very mindful, family. America has been racist. The core of America and its foundation is racist. It operates on a racial lens because racism, they have profited on it for decades. And this, my friends, are the reasons why we continue to say something. We want y'all to say something, because we have to get more connected. Win or lose, hopefully you have an update with us while we're still on. Win or lose, we have to do better.
Yeah, I don't think that.
And I don't even know. And I went on. I don't wait. And I don't even know if this really a win or lose situation at this particular point.
I don't think the approach for where we're at it really should be grounded in our win or lose based upon who continues to be president this round. Like, I just don't think that for where we're at, for some of the stuff that we need to get done and some of the agendas that we need to push and things that we need to get finished, whomever wins is just whomever wins. I think that how we treat elections, I think one of the best ways that I kind of see it in my head is that, imagine if you got to vote for who your boss at your job is. That's how we treat a lot of elections. So wherever you work at in America, whatever your job is, if you got to vote for them, and then after they get the job, just like your supervisor at your job, you leave it up to them to actually run the business, to tell you what to do and where you need to be, to tell them that all the stuff that needs to get done, like that's it. And so we elect people into office, and then we leave them alone until we hear from them again. like we'll put you in now, November 2020, and I really have no conversation for you until you come back around looking for votes. Kind of like how your boss doesn't talk to you. You don't just go up and talk to your supervisor just because. Most of the conversations you have with your supervisor, your manager, is when they choose to talk to you. Hey, come to my office real quick. It's time for your review. I need to speak to you about something. And that's when you have a rapport. And I think that that's how a lot of us treat politics. That we just, all right, I'm gonna elect who my boss is for the next 4 years. I'm gonna elect my supervisor for the next 2 years, and then I'm just gonna go about my business, and they're just gonna tell me what it is. Mm-hmm. And being more involved, like I said, I don't ever start with there. I start with self. So what am I doing as an individual? How am I interacting in the world? What am I involved with? What am I doing? How am I treating people? What relationships am I building? How am I spending my money? What activities am I participating in? Because if I start anywhere other than me, I'm already hustling backwards, and this is a fool's errand. So whoever wins today, whenever this all completely closes out, whichever one it is, my light bill is still due this month. Ain't none of them gonna pay it for me. Sure, I've got responsibility. Rent due right now for some folks. Some folks it was due. It had to be turned in by yesterday. Some folks, if you live in a good enough place, it's due by tomorrow. But if you're sitting there saying, "Is Trump gonna come by and handle this car note for me? Is Biden gonna come out and help get these breaks that I've been needing to get done, and help me teach my kids in this distance learning, and gonna come by and send a therapist to my house because me and my wife has been going through it, and we need some partnership and some conflict resolution and maybe some parenting classes." They're not doing that. Mm-hmm. Are they sending somebody to my house to teach me financial literacy about how to properly invest, to look into real estate, to truly understand the stock market past this 2-second flip hustle that they're trying to scam me on social media? Like, are you sending? Okay, are you sending somebody over on health and nutrition? Is Sleepy Joe Biden going to send somebody to your house and teach you about proper dieting? Is Trump going to run alongside you on the treadmill to keep your weight down, your blood pressure down, your keep this hypertension? Is he going to slap the fork out your hand when you got too much salt on your plate? No.
Not at all.
Is he going to remind you, give you that text to bring some flowers home to your wife? No. Is he going to remind you that you haven't spent enough time with your kids yet, or you haven't read to your babies this week? No. Not at all. All these things that if you are not starting with yourself, if you are not starting with your in-house, your relationships, your behavior, your interaction with folks, if your whole life is, my life sucks because of who's in the White House, no, you can just leave off the because of who's in the White House. Your life sucks because of you. Completely. So to me, like I said, whoever wins, whatever. I got a lot of stuff that's on. I'm not cynical. Well, I'm not negative.
But okay, but here's the thing. Okay, real quick. Why do you feel people put so much like stock on this one here election? Like, why do you feel folks are just so like, oh my God, if he doesn't get out, we're going to have 4 more years, which will be a shit show. Don't get it twisted. But why do you think people feel that way?
I think that there's a lot of people who start outside of themselves for what they think their life will become. And so if you start off by saying that whomever is doing this, whoever the puppeteer is, whoever the shot caller is, that's the end all be all to what my life becomes. If that's where you begin, then those things are a little more crucial. The fact of the matter is we've had more. Think about this. During the last 4 years, I'm sorry, how many terrorist attacks did you hear about here? Like, your life was more in danger when Obama was president. They were stopping terrorist activity every Sunday.
That was a lot of ISIS.
You know what I'm saying?
But we've had domestic terrorism.
But what I'm saying is, so if you're saying that like my concerns of who's president, but that's a perfect example that domestic terrorism is huge here. That's here. That's people who have already been here, already operating, already doing stuff. Like, to me, I think people just believe that they need to have somebody either that's going to save them or somebody to blame if it don't go right.
Did we had a war under Obama as well, right?
We've had a war under everybody
except Trump.
Trump has not been because he greasing palms and looking for the hookup. Like
he just dropped the bomb on Iraq and just kind of kept it going. He postured with North Korea. Right?
He's thinking to the future, man. He need a place that don't extradite because he got all these pending charges waiting for him as soon as the president runs up.
Listen, that's why he's trying to stay elected, man. He don't want to be elected again because he cares about what's happening in America. He doesn't want to make America great again.
Pending charges.
Because America never was great. You know what I'm saying? And he stole that from Ronald Reagan. Here's the thing. Donald Trump is just trying to, one, not look like a loser. Like, bottom line, he's just not trying to look like a loser. 2, them charges waiting for that boy. Come on, y'all. Y'all think that this dude is like, man, this is going to get ugly for me, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. He just got exposed with his taxes. People want to holler at him about that. He got his henchmen, half of his henchmen and his crew, his cabin, and his riders. They've all been pinned in some kind of way. Some have dropped dimes. Like, this is like, this is why it's so weird to me that we're in this space, in this place in America, but it also speaks volumes to what America is, which is totally laughable. America is everything that so many of us have said for years. It is founded on corruption. I mean, bottom line, there's nothing solely good about a country that has gained global riches, economic power due to free enslavement and annihilation of indigenous people. I mean, come on. This is what America's core is. Besides the give me liberty and give me death and taxation without representation and all that BS that you guys want to sit there and throw at us, those forefathers, guess what? They were the first original deadbeat daddies, and they were the rapists, right? Those forefathers were slave owners. Like, this is America. America who is redlined, America who has stolen, America that has incarcerated people with the same kind of drug that now they're making profit off of. This is America that allows illegal drugs and illegal guns to run rampant in our country because it's profit. This is America. And y'all sitting here like shocked and surprised we have a Trump. Trump is the core essence of what everything America has done and will be and has been. But here's the thing. The one thing that has become the imperfection of Trump and that the Democrats have hid behind, that Trump exposed all the truth. Trump has kind of opened it up. He's the drunk uncle that came to the party that talked about that started talking about your auntie and your cousin having that relationship. Like, what? You know what I mean? You're like, whoa. The family didn't want nobody else to know. Auntie and cousin?
Yeah, that's Trump knows where a lot of the bodies are buried.
Brother,
he's been around for so long in a lot of these circles. He knows where a lot of these bodies are buried.
And that's why, because even before he became, he was already in the inner circle.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
He was there.
He was already there, right? So he became, and when he was trying at first, because remember the first time he tried to become president, it was like a big laughing. It was like Trump's trying to become president, and everybody was kind of into it. It was like, oh, Trump, and he didn't make it because there was still that old regime of leadership. There was still that old government. You know what? Nah, we want to keep things isolated. And then he became this kind of cult figure with "you're fired," and he was really playing on that because it was like, yo, I'm about to go broke. I have some celebrity power because I'm known for A, B, and C. So it was like a winning deal. Yeah. We're going to create this idea that he's still who he is. So he creates that idea. He sees that like the whole reality TV world is becoming that nuance, just like if you look at it right now, the whole activism has become that new nuance to kind of rebuild your celebrity or throw you back into the limelight or become trendy. He now tries to become president for the second time, but this time it actually works because America had 8 years of Obama, and the talking points that Trump had was the talking points, like you said earlier in our show, that America felt but was too afraid to say it. And when he said it, and he gave them a space to say it, and nobody checked them on it, and the Democrats nor the Republicans dared kind of move in it because they were all okay, they were all complicit with it, it just spun out of control, and now it's become a cult. Now he's a real live cult figure that is just blown up. Now he has allegiance and a following. So with Trump moving and navigating where he is right now, the only reason why, in my belief, the Democrats is hot is because they have been exposed, and now folks know that you guys are in the same pile of shit. No matter how anybody wants to try to play it, people who are awake, people who have just woke up to this whole thing are seeing that the Democrats ain't no better than the Republicans, because now we're looking at their track record. Now we're looking at some of the things that they have not, held under their promises, and kind of looking at our communities, Black communities, under Democratic rule. It ain't look too good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
well,
being that Trump is more rhetoric based than more policy based, his rhetoric creates those folks that will soon, eventually, if he gets 4 more years, that will create the policies.
Yeah. So somewhat of a quick update. Biden did take Wisconsin. So he's 248 to 214. And it's the neck and neck sprint for Michigan and for Nevada. And so
he still ain't got Nevada?
Well, Nevada only has 67% has reported in. So
how many people who's winning in Nevada right now?
Biden is 49.2%, Trump is 48.6%. So they're neck and neck with 30 some odd percent left to turn in. That can easily flip either way. In Michigan, it's 49.4 to 49.1 with 96%.
And who's that?
Report. That's Biden, like, got a sneeze on him. Just to sneeze on him.
I mean, if Biden wins, America is going to be celebrating, not the way they celebrated when Obama did, but they are going to be just excited. And it's not because Biden became president. It's just because Trump is out of the presidency.
Yeah, those 2 states puts Biden over. So if he can close those 2 out, so really, because Michigan, if he wins Michigan, it'll really come down to Nevada for him. So it'll be all you Vegas, Reno, Carson City, Sparks, Incline, all y'all is who
we gotta depend on Vegas and Reno. Is that what we taking? Come on, man.
Everybody gonna be looking at y'all sideways,
brother.
For what it comes down to, because if Biden gets Michigan, it's gonna come down to Nevada for him. So it's roll the dice, Vegas.
The dice is being rolled.
Roll the dice.
I mean, this electoral college shit is just like, it's because who's winning the popular vote right now?
Those aren't in yet. So I'm not with the information I'm looking at. I'm sure they probably have it on some of these sites or some of these.
And then if you look at it, probably from CNN to Fox News and things of that nature, I guarantee you it's swinging a whole different way. It's like some people are saying Trump is going to make it happen, and some people are like, no, Biden's in the lead. So it's probably
Biden's having a rocky comeback in this fourth quarter.
This is some news, great content. They love this.
Yeah, so it's really going to come down to the wire. Like I said, this to me is entertainment value. When it comes to policy implementation, said Trump has been sparking people how they feel. So he's been touching folks' feelings. And they've been out reacting under some of his indirect messaging, some of his direct messaging, some of just whatever they feel invoked by because they're listening to how he speaks. But when it comes to, he hasn't put policy into place that's been detrimental, but he has made some moves that have been.
But he's put people, like I said, he's put people that can push those policies.
Yeah, when it comes to electing judges, when it came to getting rid of policies that had to address the Fair Housing Act, when it had to policies that had to deal with the issues of predatory lending, which specifically affected Black and brown people throughout this country. It's some of the stuff that not that he's necessarily implemented, but some of the things he's been taking away.
Yeah.
And so it's, people are like, well, what policy did he put in place that directly negatively affected Black and brown people? You won't really find those, but you'll find a lot of the safeties and things that were put in place to protect and help Black and brown people. He's been removing.
And then as well as he's helped a lot of the 1%.
Yeah,
he's definitely connected the business base. And I think that's why a lot of folks who's in business like him. But I mean, dude how many times did he go, file for bankruptcy? How many businesses have been?
Yeah, that's an inaccurate.
So you don't have to have but I'm just saying, but you don't have to have, bro, regardless if that's not accurate. What we know is accurate, that 200,000 plus people have died during COVID, and he basically made the whole COVID thing a freaking Saturday Night Live joke, which wasn't really a joke.
Yeah, his handling of COVID has been horrible.
But that should be enough.
I separate that because the bankruptcy thing, that's a hustle. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good. It's business practice 101.
Just explain that to some of the people that may not know, because there's a lot of people get caught up on that, or then they hear about it in other people. Oh, he had 14 failed businesses, or he had 6 failed businesses, or whatever. Filing bankruptcy is how you clear the books, and it's how you protect your personal assets, and it's how you can restart. If you go down with the ship each time, you could be out on a one and done. But when you put stuff and tie it through specific businesses, you let businesses fail, let the file your chapter and tell them debt collectors they can go to hell. And then you go ahead and take your assets, you take your ball and go play on another court and start again. And you can re-up your money through your business. If you know how you're moving your money, move your money to your personal assets into an accounts that cannot be touched. Let the business fail. Let the creditors just eat the cost, and then you move on to do it to the next one. So you can have a series of failed businesses and bankruptcies, but you keep coming out shining. So I think some people just understanding that's just a real brief, like, and for the folks who are real economists and real business, don't come at me with all the finite details, but just the fact that somebody has multiple filings of bankruptcy does not make them a failed businessman. It just means, or businesswoman. It just means that they was using the system that's in place to get over.
Yeah, facts.
You know,
I mean, he's a shrewd businessman, but again, all of the sexual assault cases pending or on.
Oh yeah, I think he's a horrible person, but I think
I mean, you know, the blanket statements of racism.
Grab
you know what I'm saying? Oh man, the pussy grabber by itself. That I guess that for all the sexists, and you know, I could say some stuff, but you know, he could get a pass. Him being on tape saying numerous things, him being impeached, you know, the Russians helping him win the first election, and just the whole lack there of real true transparency, right, in this presidency should give anyone else besides Donald Trump would have been, you know, like literally really, really impeached. And he continues to hold power. So that speaks volumes to America and how we really look at this idea of democracy. And this is why folks do not vote. This is why folks feel that the system has failed, because they have no trust in it. And I understand that. And I'm not going to knock it, but I definitely will say to folks who didn't go vote, I mean, you know, I just hope that you have a plan. Hold on a second. I hope that you have some idea of what you want to do.
No. I don't know if there's a whole lot of people who are campaigning that Trump is a good person. I don't know if this is somebody who would say this is somebody I would trust in my daughter. I don't think that anybody is really on that type of campaign about him. But I think he speaks to the core of what a lot of Americans are like, or who what a lot of Americans would like to be. Somebody who comes and goes as he pleases, says what he wants to say, sticks the finger up to the status quo and to the way that things have been done in certain systems and certain channels. And there's a lot of people who have felt very impotent in their lives, and they've never been able to. They can't even look at their supervisor sideways. They got a relationship that they go home to, but they better stay tight-lipped. They've never been in a position of any form of real authority in their life. So when they see somebody walking it and talking it, there's a natural gravitation.
Oh, they love it.
And there's a lot of them, but a part that goes along with the same way that Obama was elected because of who George Bush was, somebody who was a C- student who really had a team of handlers around him during the course of his presidency. Everybody who was around George Little Bush was all George Sr.'s boys. Dick Cheney and all them. He had a team. He had a team of handlers that was dedicated to. George was just told where to go, where to stand, and what to say.
And many will say George Cheney was the, well, not George Cheney, but Dick Cheney was the actual president.
Yeah, there was all the puppets on top of the string. So you got a guy that wasn't that bright, who was really just kind of getting puppeteered through his presidency, who lucked out, and this is the craziest thing to say, 9/11 saved him for the second run. You know, how he addressed it and was a figure that a lot of people want. He said the things that people wanted to hear following 9/11 about, you know, we gonna go get him. Like that was, they wanted the cowboy president in that moment. They wanted that Texas boy in that moment. And so that carried him over in the second one. Obama got elected because they was like, this economy is so bad. This dude is so dumb. Everything is falling apart. I'm losing my house. I lost my job. The world's in free fall. I don't care if Emmanuel Lewis is on the ticket. I am not voting Republican. Like the nation was voting a Democratic president when Obama was up. It didn't matter who was up. The ghost of Gary Coleman could have got some votes. Like, it was just, so that's why they was like, okay, we're going to put a woman up and a black man. Because if there ever was a window, like, like it's now. Because the nation is voting Democratic. They're not running the risk of another 4 years of what they had been through. But Obama was more Messiah-like.
Yeah.
He wasn't real. You don't know people like him. This is the guy that's got the same woman he's been with since college. Kid seems perfect on paper. Never hear not a sniff of a scandal about the man. Like, he was there. People looked at him as like, this is wow. Like,
the biggest scandal. The biggest scandal was a tan suit.
He wore the tan suit, and that's the biggest dirt you can get on the dude is the color suit he wore. So then people realized like the pendulum swung way too much to the left with Obama. Like it swung the other way from Bush because Bush wasn't that bright. And then you got this Harvard genius over here. Okay, that swung this way.
But isn't Bush a mirror of what Donald Trump is, to be honest with you?
But Obama's the pendulum in between them. So it swung all the way one way from Bush to the other side to Obama. Now back to the other side with Trump. And so people are like, yeah, that that Obama run was cool and all, and I like him in theory, but Trump is who I see. Trump is the kind of guy that I would want to be. Obama looked like the dude that does what his wife tells him. Trump looks like the dude that, what you say, Melania, and runs his household. So there's people who are like, that's the guy I see. Not necessarily I see myself in, but the man I really see myself as wanting to be.
And that, my friends, ain't you. I mean, because let me tell you something. You ain't going to get no hot wife without no money, right? Without no clout.
And she looks like she can't stand him.
Oh, she hates him.
Every time she's in his presence. Like, she'll smile at dignitaries. She'll smile at other politicians.
Listen,
and every time she looks at him, she cut her eyes so deep.
She got probably a young stud somewhere in wherever she's from. But the beautiful thing about it is when her book comes out, oh man, I might buy that because I just want to just hear, just the woman that played the role, right? You know what I mean? She's probably got so much dirt and he probably got so much dirt from her. But just looking at the relationship, right? From the standpoint of everybody not everybody, but a lot of folks talking about, you got these conspiracy theorists that talk about how, Obama, Michelle, and Barack aren't really a relationship. It was a created, orchestrated relationship. Well, what the hell do you call Donald Trump and his wife? You know what I'm talking about? The simple fact
they call those mail order.
Yeah, I think the simple fact that you see these two together, and we know the marital affairs that he's had, but I guess nobody cares about that as well. And that's the thing that kills me. I don't want to ever hear America talk about integrity. I don't want to hear about America talking about the looters and the rioters. I don't want to hear none of that stuff because what we have is a straight a court gesture right in front of our face that everything about him is not real. Everything about the president is fake. Even in his truths, he's telling a genuine lie. So the reality of this makeup and this reality character, this reality TV character that is being created right in front of our eyes, America is saying that's the standard bearer of what we want to claim to be the free world. You got to be kidding me right now. Come on, y'all. Like, let's get outside of the simple fact that I know a lot of pale people, as I call them, the pale ones, want just to have a white face in a right place that called power in America, the seat of power in America. Let's just be honest with each other. Y'all know that all of this shit that Donald Trump is and what he's showing, it's all a facade. Y'all do know that. Like y'all have to really realize this is not a reality, because I don't want y'all to think that you can do the same thing, because you can't, right? You can't. He's in a safe haven because he's the president. And as soon as he's not the president, whether it's this coming term or the next 4 years, you will see how America treats even the former presidents if their hands was in the cookie jar. So like, just don't get too hyped. And that's what, I'm just saying. Nixon was able to run, but this is the difference. Trump, this is why I say this, bro. This is why I say that. Trump has allowed, this is one thing he's done. he's aired out too many family secrets, which has pissed off the Democrats and the Republicans. A lot of the times that others did whatever they did, the parties were still in sync with like, the secrets are still okay.
Yeah.
Or we just going to kind of just, we going to be fighting over these certain issues. But this dude has just went over and beyond to create a real divide, because there's never really been a divide between Democratic and Republican. It's just been based on policy. They've all been
in non-election years. They're all best. They're all
playing
golf together. They all
come on, bro. So, but this guy, he's the outside equation of the outside the box individual, where I believe in a lot of minds, some of these folks, because he's created a divisiveness in America that we've already knew was there, but it's opened this Pandora's box that they were still trying to allow to pretend like, whoa, systematic racism. What is that? What are you talking about? White supremacy? Not here. But he's kind of said, nope, here we are. And that's what I think a lot of people are pissed off that are in the political realms, because he's kind of allowed too much truth to be spoken to. And as soon as he gets out, it's gonna be funny.
I think it'd be interesting. I don't think American people, like the society as a whole, is really going to care. Like kind of to your point about talk about integrity. We, as a nation, we don't really care like that. Like, we don't really care about the dirty deeds that are done by people who we put into power. Like, if we had president after president after president bombing women and children, going through looting countries, standing just coldly by and watching atrocities happen across the globe because it doesn't align with our pocketbooks. Like, and those people come in and out of power, and we don't even give them a second thought. I don't think that, when it comes to the integrity of people, we have a lot of amnesia that way in this country. So I think Trump would say if Biden pulls this out and is, Biden running it for 4 years, hopefully he makes it. I don't know if Biden got 4 years in him, but
he might fall out, and if he gets elected, he'll be so shocked.
Every time I see him at an event, they see on TV, he looked like Weekend at Bernie's. He just
like trying to keep them dentures in, dog.
Man, so if he make it out, I think the nation will. I think his base will remember him fondly. I think that there's a large percentage of people, even if he just does 4 years, I think will. Not necessarily for what it did to the nation and policy and stuff that gets implemented. I think there's a lot of people who remember him as a president fondly for who he was. And then anybody, like I said, if they ever taught civics properly and social studies, what happened on his watch, you think was atrocious between the horrible COVID practices and the down spiraling of the economy and all these things, that the protests everywhere and community violence and all this stuff that all happened under his watch. You'll say it was horrific. But I think there are people who will remember him, in a positive light, because that's kind of in alignment with what they want. I think that we put too much trust in folks sometimes.
I didn't, brother. Listen, I think that when you look at it, police brutality did not spark up because of Trump. This is what it is. It's a nationwide problem that has to be figured out locally. That's just one thing. Okay. You have to kind of see and consider yourselves to understand the framework of what we're dealing with. Trump did not create racism. And if racism was under the bus as the way people wanted to pretend it was, then it wouldn't have easily crept outside of the underground that it was hidden under. So, just because we may get a new president-elect doesn't stop all of the issues. If anything, it increases the probability that it's probably going to have a lot more things to happen, because now what are they going to do? What are the people with all the MAGA hats going to do? Go back and hide? They can't do that. They're here. We see them. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I mean, they're there. I mean, what are they going to put down the MAGA flags? It's just like it's like the Klan. You know what I mean? Where did the folks go ahead and take their clown out? I mean, the Klan, it's the clown outfit, but the Klan outfits, they didn't put them in the cleaners. You know what I'm saying? Where there ain't no thrift stores. They put them under, that chest and just kind of put it away.
You just learn what cleaners to take them to.
Oh, that's even better.
That's all it is. Because let's look at it historically as we're talking. Like a lot of the stuff that was going on that we thought were the most atrocious things that happened in the 60s, and all the violence that happened against folks, dogs sicked on them, hot coffee thrown on them for trying to sit at a diner counter, just beating and abusing, women being sexually assaulted, like all these things that happened, which were sickening but commonplace. Those people are still here. Like a lot of them are still alive.
And those people had children.
Yeah. And so like I look at, like, my father was born in 1950. You know, all the stuff that you see in all the videos and all that stuff, the Civil Rights Act, all that stuff passed when he was in high school. So all the same people you saw across the nation where young kids were trying to go to school and they were met with rocks being thrown at them and dogs being sicked on them, they're all still here. So this idea that because a law changed or a president changed, that all of a sudden all the hearts and minds of all these particular types of individuals just immediately disappear is just false. And so you just understand when you can come out with it and where you can say it, but it doesn't mean that you just automatically shift because somebody in office got elected. So I think that's why I say that the base point to begin to make these changes and corrections, it just has to start at one. To start building where you are with what you've got, with who you know, for the goals that you're working towards. And I think that if enough of us are building, you start seeing like-minded builders. If enough of us are planners, you find like-minded planners. If we're organizers, you find like-minded organizers. Quit trying to be an organizer, trying to draft a builder, trying to convince somebody to organize, and that's not their thing. Some people are. We have a society that grooms you to either be an inmate or a marginally intelligent employee. That is the structure of the United States system in education. You are either groomed for one or the other, to be an inmate or to be a marginally intelligent employee. Every system that you start from the time you're 5 years old teaches you that when you hear a bell, that means you need to be here. When you need to sit here and be quiet, that you speak when you're spoken to, that you raise your hand and then you're addressed, that you do as you're told in a structured environment, that you can do what we tell you, when we tell you, for as long as we tell you. Either if you go into an average American job or you end up in the penitentiary system, it's the same routine. You hear the bell, you know to sit down. You hear this particular noise, you know where you're supposed to be at. You don't just talk out of turn. You do what we tell you to do, when we tell you to do it, or there'll be consequences. That is how this system is structured. So we have a lot of people who that's how they're wired. Doesn't make them bad people, just means that they fell into the programming. And so when we want to say, okay, let's organize, let's do this, let's see, how come you're not ambitious? How come you're not focused? How come you're not driven? Because for the last 20 years, I was programmed to be programmed. So when it pertains to us, we talk about why are we in all these directions? Run your race, build where you're at, and you'll start to see some people just need a work assignment. They don't need to be in the meetings. You figure out, you get organized, you figure out what we're building. Okay, who wants to help us put this in place, doing this? Somebody, that's me. This person should not be driving the car. They shouldn't even be the navigator. They should be the person sitting in the back seat who's asleep half the time, who's responsible for bringing snacks. Like that's their responsibility, and have some gas money. Like that's your job. And I think that we get caught up on stuff because we keep trying to dub people a position because we think they should be that, or they should be caring about that, or they should be involved in that, and that's just not who they are. So start where we are, with who you know, with what you've got, build from there, find the like-minded people, and just keep moving forward.
And some people believe they're really the drivers and really not. They're the passengers.
Well, so, the ones who believe they're drivers who are not, then you leave them drive by themselves. Just don't get in the car with them.
Well, some people get in the car with
them. That's what I'm saying. Let all right. I mean, I need to be in charge. Okay, you go do that over there then.
Like, yeah, do it your way.
Yeah,
tell me how that works out for you.
Yeah, exactly. You'll see that person with a crayon drawn blueprint with that one board with 17 nails in it that are all bent and twisted and can't put one in straight.
Facts.
Okay, when are you going to realize that this ain't you? Come on over. We got a place for you.
We shall learn. We shall learn. Give us an update before we get off here, because I got to get to these streets and make sure that we don't, everything's boarded up downtown and everything is boarded up everywhere, right?
We just touched it in. This first time we did it on the live. It is currently 2:48 to 2:14. Michigan's up to 98% reporting. Joe with a sneeze lead. Nevada, he got a sneeze lead. They're now up to 75% reported.
This is like crazy to me. Like, so it's 248 to what?
To what did I just say? To 214. Biden.
That seems like, a lot, but it's really not.
No, and it's the first one to 270.
Wow.
So first to 270 wins. So Michigan looks like it should be the next one to finish reporting. Like I said, Biden's got that sneeze of a lead. That's 16 electoral votes in Michigan. There's 6 electoral votes in Nevada. North Carolina is still on the table. Trump's got a slight lead with 94% reporting, and that's got 15 electoral votes. Pennsylvania is still up for grabs. They only have 84% reporting. Trump's got a sizable lead. And there's 20 electoral votes for Pennsylvania. So, I mean, it's going to come down to it. Like I said, if Biden can pull out Michigan and he can, and if he pull out Michigan, it'll come down to Nevada. If he lose Michigan, he needs a Hail Mary and a hat trick. If Biden loses Michigan, he's got to swing somebody in North Carolina or Pennsylvania where he's already given up, he's given up points in both those states. So he really banking on Michigan.
Is Michigan more or less a Democratic
Michigan
country?
is interesting. Off the top of my head, I don't remember which one they are, but it's such a diverse state.
Yeah.
Like if you go Detroit is drastically different than like Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
But if you go to Lansing is so like progressive and so everybody love each other, and like Lansing is like an anomaly city. Like the racial tension in Lansing is very low.
But you hear so much about like
Detroit.
You
hear about Detroit. You hear about Detroit. You get in the D and it get real. It get real in the D. You get out there 7th Mile, 8 Mile.
Boy.
You get out there by Fecal. You get out there in Detroit. I don't know if you ever spend time in Detroit. I don't know if you get out there.
No, I got to get out there when
COVID goes down. Shout out to my cousins in the D. I got family out there. Me and my brother used to take trips.
It gets real.
Sidebar story before we get out of here, just to let you know the climate of Detroit, and everything is bulletproof glass on certain sides of town, and I mean, like, to go into a White Castle, it's like going into a bank. Like, you walk in, you stop, then you can get let in, and the glass is so thick through each doors in case there's any type of issue. And then there's a glass between, once you get in, there's the glass between you and the person you're giving your order to. So you can't stick up the register.
Wow.
Everybody rolls around. Okay, it's like you hear people in California talk about, I have to pop the trunk. They don't even use that phrase because everybody rolls around with it on your lap. Like, if you talk about, I got to go to the trunk, you already losing. You already lost. Like, and this is not to make slight, and this is not all of Detroit, and Detroit is a beautiful city. So I don't want people thinking that, oh, stay away from there. Like
they are saying that probably.
Yeah, Detroit, like, because you hear about a lot of the problems, but Detroit, the people are amazing. Like, the culture, the food, the music, like the style, like how, like, people in Detroit would tell you they're the best dressers. They'll argue with folks from Chicago. Like, they'll say like the style and stuff of Detroit is the culture is amazing. It's incredible, but it's real. It's real indeed.
Gets heavy. Like,
just a little, just this public service was not brought to you by the city of Detroit, where you could buy a house for $5,000.
Right.
I'm not even lying. Like, you like a full Victorian style home, like hardwood floors. Now it may be next to a house that's missing a wall and has no roof on it, and a burned down crack spot across the street, but you can get you a house for pennies. But they're revitalized. A lot of Chinese have bought up Detroit.
Oh, they bought it up.
There's a lot of gentrification happening in Detroit. So shout out to the D. Just throwing that out there. And shout out to everybody who took advantage of listening. This is our first Say Something with Jermaine Morris and Barry Accius live. The podcast is available on Apple. It's on iHeart. You can catch it on SoundCloud. If you catch it on Apple, please leave a review, rate it. We appreciate that.
And soon to be on YouTube.
Yep. So you can not only hear our voice but see our faces. Thank you for everybody who participated, who checked it out. Who I saw folks was popping in and out. I know it's a school day, so folks got some stuff to do.
Yeah. Folks got to get some stuff to do, and I'm still kind of on the Facebook, censorship. Okay. For facts. Don't
say that too reckless.
Yeah, I'm just saying they just kind of moving and navigating. So we're gonna hit y'all for the next episode.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And we'll come back with either Back to Donnie or with Dementia Joe.
Is it Sleepy Joe or is it Don the Con?
All
Till
right,
next
family.
show, we will holler at you later.
Peace.